Good evening. On behalf of the commissioners and staff, I would like to welcome you to the May 20th, 2025 meeting of the City of Roseville Transportation Commission. This time, please check all your electronic devices and make sure they are on silent. If you would like to follow along the agenda, they are available at the end of the staff table. If you're watching remotely, all meeting documents are available online at the city's website for the Transportation Commission. If you plan to speak tonight, please be sure to fill out a yellow speaker card located at the podium and return it to staff. If you do speak this evening, please only address the commission from the podium. Please refrain from addressing any member of the city staff or public. Please address the commission only. Public participation is always welcome, and your questions and comments are always noted. Lainey, can you please call roll?
Sure. Commissioner Stromberg?
Here.
Commissioner Groff?
Here.
Commissioner McGeorge? Here. Commissioner Roberts?
Here.
And Chair Pell?
Here.
And Commissioner Mondel, Probst, and Radford are absent, excused.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Groff, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to open the meeting for public comment. The public comment period is a time for any member of the public who would like to address the commission on any transportation-related item that is not on the agenda. Speakers shall restrict their comments to the issues that are within the subject jurisdiction of the Transportation Commission and limit comments to 3 minutes. The Brown Act does not permit the commission to discuss or take action on issues that are not listed on the agenda. If you do come up to the podium, please state your name for the record. Just a reminder, please address the commission only, not the staff or anyone else. And if you could, at the end, give your yellow speaker card to the staff. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Jennifer Higgins, and I already handed in my card. And I live at 35 Villa Gardens Court. And I'm here to speak tonight on an item that is not on the agenda in regards to the Transportation 360. As most of you know, I have a disability, and I am an active user of Dial-A-Ride and public transportation. That's how I got here tonight. The reason I am coming to you tonight in regards to this issue is because I want to leave some feedback with you. I know this was already voted in. However, I'm sharing with you that I have had numerous issues with the Placergo app, and it's been ongoing. When I'm sure I'm not the only one, but when I go to make a ride, multiple times, probably 1 in 10 times, I've been able to book a ride on the app. Most of the times it says the ride is not available in that time. And I'm not talking about a ride for the day after. I'm talking about a ride for 10 days out. The app says it's too busy. We're too busy. I have a child who's 2 years old. I have a mother who fell a month ago, and she is on a wheelchair/walker right now. She was ambulatory, so I have rides that need to be booked with her. She is also learning the system. She does not have the app on her phone yet, and this is an issue when you cannot get a ride and you have to constantly call the call center. I've had rides that were late and I've had to cancel. Unfortunately, my husband, who's a school bus driver, has been able to take me, but that's not always available. What I did today, the running around that I did today, I was only able to do because of the existing M route. I know the changes that are going to go into place would cause me to need to do 2 buses. It would take me a lot longer. I know the person who heads the organization who rerouted the buses say it's going to be a faster system. I couldn't do what I just did in the last 4 hours prior to the meeting, come from my mother's at Roseville Eschaton Manor, go to Winco, get groceries, drop them off at my new address next to Walmart, and then get across the street and then come here on 2 buses. I couldn't do all that if you reroute the buses. Just something to think about. There's a lot of seniors up and down Pleasant Grove that depend on 1 bus to get to Winco. I really hope that you reevaluate. I know it's already been put into play, but there's a lot of seniors that are going to get really confused having to transfer to 2 buses to get to Winco. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment period. The next item on the agenda is approval of March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion and a second to approve the March minutes?
Motion approved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Groff has made the motion and Commissioner McGeorge has seconded the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion is approved. Moving on to requests and presentations. Item 6.1, Active Transportation Plan. Staff, can we please have your presentation?
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. We are very excited to bring the Active Transportation Plan to you this evening. Similar to the comprehensive operational analysis that we presented to you several months back, the Active Transportation Plan has taken a significant amount of outreach and effort to bring to this point, and so we're excited to bring it to you this evening. Before I hand it off, I wanted to quickly acknowledge Suzanne right here next to me. Suzanne has taken the lead on this as the project manager since day one, and she has done a great job answering questions, concerns from the public, and also just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, her knowledge, as those of you that have worked with her see that her knowledge of the trails in Roseville is unmatched. So with that, I'll hand it off to Suzanne and take from here.
Thank you, Ed. I'd like to introduce Marissimo Hernandez, a senior planning associate with Northern California Planning Lead for Alta Planning and Design, Inc., who will be giving a presentation on the city's active transportation plan. In September of 2023, the City of Roseville contracted with Alta to create an active transportation plan, also known as ATP for short, that would look at the future state of biking, walking, and rolling in the City of Roseville. The ATP will replace the 2008 Bicycle Master Plan and the 2011 Pedestrian Master Plan and merge them into one plan. Public engagement was an important part of the planning process to understand the needs, challenges, and priorities of community members and stakeholders. The high level of input helped shape the plans for active transportation improvements. The ATP has been posted online on the Transportation 360 webpage for review. Staff requests that after the presentation, the Transportation Commission accept the active transportation plan and recommend City Council approval. And now I'm handing it off to you, Marissimo.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a minute since I've been here. It's good to see some friendly faces. As Suzanne mentioned, my name is Mauricio Hernandez, and I represent Alta Planning and Design, the lead consultant for this project. Should I just say slide so that we can move forward? Thank you very much. Since I know you've read the 101 pages of the plan, as well as the appendices, which are over 500 pages of them, I'm just going to do a brief recount of what is included in the plan. This is the agenda for today, a plan overview, what's in the plan, some of the methods that we used for developing the recommendations, talking about the exact recommendations and implementation and funding, as well as have you a little bit of a discussion, a Q&A, and then provide some next steps for the plan. Next slide. So next slide. A quick overview of where we are in the project. As Suzanne mentioned, we started this in September 2023, along with the changes to the transit plan as well. We have been working on it for quite a bit of time, with a ton of engagement with the community that was handled by an additional consultant, as well as the city. And we've gotten some really, really good feedback from all of the community, as well as working with the different departments in the city of Roseville. Next slide. Our hope again today is to present the final plan so that we can move forward on commission acceptance. So as part of the project and as part of this plan, again, combining the bicycle and pedestrian master plans into one, we developed, we helped the city develop a vision as well as goals and objectives. You can certainly read them here, but we really were focusing on increasing access, connectivity, multimodal consistency, focusing on providing better facilities for people walking and biking, as well as providing better, safer, and more comfortable facilities and options for people to get from point A to point B. Of course, these all have additional goals that are related to health. Of course, funding and implementation, how can we grow and maintain the system, as well as encouraging people to walk and bike. Again, this is an active transportation plan that is focusing on providing options rather than telling people what to do. Next slide. What's in the plan? Again, next slide. We really have a few sections that are basically the existing conditions, a little bit of a summary of what we did with public engagement. The full section that talks about infrastructure recommendations, I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by infrastructure and by non-infrastructure recommendations, as well as a section on how to implement and where to get the funding for the plan. Next slide. So as, again, this is very, very high level, and as of 2025, this included all the bicycle and pedestrian facilities. As you can see, there were a total of 173, almost 174 miles of existing bicycle facilities that included Class 1 trails, multi-use trails, as well as bike lanes and bike routes. Bike routes are included in those that are assigned in the city. As far as pedestrian facilities, we noted that they were incomplete and under construction. Again, this is a growing city, so we noted that in the plan. And these figures are as of early 2025. That's something to think about. I believe these have actually gone a little bit haywire since then, since we know that a ton of new facilities were completed in the last couple of months as part of the expansion of the city. As you can see, the multi-use trails are, very good facilities for people, of both for walking and biking, and are some of the best facilities that you have in the city. You will see me talking, or you'll hear me talking about people walking and people biking. I'm trying to make that distinction. We're all people, and so I want to make that distinction throughout my presentation today. Next slide. I don't want to go too much into the analyses. You can certainly read a little bit more about them, but we developed a number of analyses to know where people have the greatest need based on equity issues, as well as collision, which again includes safety and transit ridership. We looked at a bunch of different variables that included, of course, the collisions for the last 5 years. So we aggregated those and we figured out what the highest injury locations, both at the intersection level as well as the corridor level were. We also try to, as we know that the transit plan was being amended, we didn't go in too deep into that, but we certainly considered the highest ridership locations for when we developed the recommendations of the plan. Next slide. Moving forward on the public engagement, this is just a very high-level summary of how we did engagement. There was a ton of engagement in phase 1 and phase 2 of the project, phase 1 being the understanding what is going out in the field, and then the phase 2 is kind of the implementation and the development of recommendations. There were 13 pop-up events where we, as part of the city, as well as an additional consultant, went out to the public to different events. We hosted 13 pop-up events to meet people where they were. We did 4 informational presentations. Thank you, Suzanne. I believe she came to you all, as well as hosted 2 open houses with over 60 plus attendees. The team also did a ton of outreach phone calls to different commissions and to different departments in the city. And of course, we developed an interactive map both for the phase 1, which was requesting information about opportunities and constraints, and the second portion, which was developing and presenting the recommended improvements on the infrastructure side. Next slide. Really what we heard, and this is again very much high-level summary, you can read all about it in Appendix B, I believe. People are certainly needed or looking for a more connected network of safe and comfortable and separated facilities. This is not very much different from a lot of the places that we work, as we see that there is an impetus for more people walking and biking. I like to joke around that when I started my profession about 20 years ago, we weren't thinking about every single person. We were just thinking about the 10% that wore Lycra every day. Derek, you're a great example. Sorry to point at you. We are now thinking about folks that are 8 to 80. We're really looking forward to providing those facilities for everybody and all ages and abilities network. Additionally, the folks that we're really focusing on, we're really hoping that we could address the gaps. For example, you have a very good trail network or shared use path network. However, there's still some gaps in connections to those trails, and in between those trails are still a little difficult. So we try to focus on that. And of course, addressing the barriers that also included gaps was a big one for folks to really focus on. Next slide. What we really did with the public engagement was combined and the existing conditions. We combined the findings from both to develop and enrich the network that we developed, or the proposed recommendations at the infrastructure level. So additional input on the draft recommendations, of course, helped the team refine the final set of projects when we went to the community for the second time, providing them the opportunity to really focus in and zone in on the recommended network. There were some instances where we had included some recommendations or some improvements at intersections where we missed some of them, and so the community was instrumental in really strengthening the network. Next slide. So I'm going to start talking about the methodology for recommendations. This is the how-to, how we implement it as planners and engineers. I am not an engineer, I should say that. But Jason is. Sweet. So we certainly rely on our engineering friends, our planners, to develop recommendations. Next slide. But because we do have certain guidance materials as well as what we call, in a way, our Bibles and the transportation manuals that really tell us how to develop, implement facilities. Some of these are included here. We, of course, looked at the City of Roseville design and construction standards at the first level. Also, we received guidance from Caltrans with all these guides, of course, HDM, and the Chapter 1000 that really just focuses on bicycle and pedestrian transportation design, as well as the newer improvements and newer guides that were developed by Caltrans in the last few years. As we didn't want to plan for in a vacuum, we also looked at federal guidance like FHWA. They have some really good guidance on how to develop facilities. Next slide. As I mentioned, we really wanted to focus on the 60 to 80% of the people that are comfortable or would like to walk and or bike, but would just like a little bit more separation. It would feel a little bit more important, more comfortable facilities for them to walk. This is 60 to 80% of the general population. This is not just Roseville, so I should highlight that. Next slide. So again, we develop recommendations based on the community feedback. So we use the web map and the surveys that we put together earlier on in phase 1. We, of course, engaged with the county master plan, with the folks that are developing the county master plan, which is just a little bit behind us. We hosted those pop-ups and those public engagement and public open houses. We looked at the available right-of-way, so how much the street widths were. And of course, we try to improve and focused on safety and separation for people walking and people bicycling from folks that were driving. Again, as we did not want to plan in a vacuum, we looked at previously planned and proposed facilities that certainly made sense for us to include here, as well as those that are guiding the expansion of the city westward. Next slide. So the recommendations, next slide. We focused on pedestrian recommendations, recommendations for people walking and people biking. This is a toolbox, so these are some of the improvements that we called for. Of course, you have the sidewalks that everybody is very much in tune about or knows about. Some of the curb ramps, we highlighted curb extensions, providing a little bit additional space for people to cross the street. High visibility crosswalks, both in some different, we highlighted some examples from different places, as well as the triple, what is it, Jason, triple?
Oh, geez, I can't remember.
I think it's a 444.
Thank you, 444. Just testing you, Derek. Just testing you, Derek.
Yeah.
The 444 that is being implemented now in the city. We looked at different communities of this different size where we were able to implement some raised crosswalks and raised crossings. These are very good examples of how to implement crossing facilities connecting to different parts of the trail or trails at the same time. Next slide. On the pedestrian facility toolbox, we also included rectangular rapid flashing beacons, or as my wife calls them, RBFs. I know it's a joke. It's a really lame joke. I'm sorry. It makes me laugh. I'm sorry. Leading pedestrian intervals, providing people walking at an intersection a little bit more extra time for them to cross before cars can go, as well as a little bit of daylighting and median refuge islands, which some of you and some streets have already implemented that in the city of Roseville. Next slide. So as part of the network recommendations for people walking and biking, we called for 64 miles on improvements to the sidewalk, and that included implementing sidewalks on both sides of the streets, particularly in locations where there's a high need or a high demand for pedestrian activity, downtown, where there's schools, particularly in the elementary and middle schools, as well as those places where there was no sidewalk, particularly in downtown in some areas in connecting to some of the transit locations. We also called, and this is, you'll see it as well in the bicycle facilities, the recommendations for bicyclists, I should say. There are over 50 miles of multi-use trails that we're recommending as well. Next slide. Similarly, we developed a facility toolbox for bicycles. You see some of these here. Some of the photos are, if not most of the photos, are from Roseville. You see the multi-use trails. I'm going top to bottom, bike lanes, which are very much all over the place in Roseville, as well as buffered bike lanes, which provide a little bit of extra space and separation between the person biking, the parking, and the person driving. Increased separation, looking at protected intersections and separated bike lanes, as well as some bicycle routes and bicycle boulevards and great separated crossings like the ones that you have here as well. Next slide. So as part of the bicycle network recommendations, we called for improving or expanding the network of buffered and or separated bike lanes. And to do so, we are upgrading, or we are calling for the upgrade of some Class 2 facilities, Class 2 being the classification that Caltrans gives to bicycle lanes. So those bicycle lanes with the extra space and the extra buffer would be either transposed into Class 2Bs, so buffered bike lanes, or Class 4s, which are separated bike lanes. With that, we would have a total of 296 miles of bicycle facilities when fully built out. We do see the impact of that, in addition to providing additional connectivity between Class 1s, which are trails, and between trails. Next slide. As part of every active transportation plan, we also call for the development of programmatic and policy recommendations to complement and sometimes supplement some of the improvements that we're calling for infrastructure. For this plan, we really focused on education, enforcement, encouraging, and evaluation programs. We've included some in here. Most of them, again, are in the plan. So if you want to dig in deep on a lot of these, you can certainly read them in Chapter 4 of the report. Next slide. So on the education side is continuing the bicycle and pedestrian safety education programs that you already have. Many street safe routes to school events. Those are very, very useful for teaching kids how to ride a bike and or walk safely throughout the streets, as well as bicycle repair and bicycle kitchens, which really teach very basic skills for folks that are just starting to bicycle and how to make some changes to their bikes. Next slide. I should say that these are literally from the plan. We cut them. You'll see that all of the goals were being targeted. So we focused on enforcement, of course, on having a bike patrol and partnering with Roseville Police for having bike patrols throughout the trails, as well as other facilities and other locations. You'll see that the goals are highlighted on the column on the right. And most of the goals are at the bottom, just so that you can tell what each of the logos are. Next slide. On the encouragement side, this is very important. We, of course, we love safe routes to school, so we certainly would like the city to continue to the implementation of its existing safe routes to school projects, as well as we want to continue to go after bicycle and pedestrian friendly community denominations. We can talk a little bit about that. Currently, the city is nominated as, or denominated, I should say, as bronze level. And a few of the different communities that are close to you are as well. So there are certain things that the city can continue to do to continue to grow that nomination. We love open street programs where basically we close the street for a little bit to allow for recreation, of course, and encourage people walking and biking and strengthen those connectivity to places. A TDM program, which again you already are implementing, but just growing it, that's also very useful to encourage people to walk and bike as well as take transit. And of course, encouraging those social walks and rides to take more people out, to show them what's available and what can be possible. Of course, the e-bike rebates and incentives, we certainly want to continue that program. I know that California is at the forefront of those things, so we want to certainly continue that. Next slide. On the evaluation side, it is certainly important to measure what has been built. So, of course, an annual bicycle and pedestrian report, really focusing on what's been happening every year and sharing that in a transparent way with the community. Similarly, annual pedestrian and bicycle collision reports, it just helps the city provide for improvements at specific locations where the most collisions are. And of course, the bicycle count program, so that you can tell, hey, is there something happening? Have we increased the number of people walking and biking at particular locations? And you can certainly tell the impact and measure the impact of the improvements. Again, increasing transparency and continuing that transparency trend, the end of year work plan reporting, it's very useful for the city and of course for this commission to understand what's going on with the city every year. Next slide. On the implementation and funding, next slide, we used a number of different data rubrics that are included here in this bullet point list. collision history, the analyses that we completed kind of at the health and equity level. Access to transit, we looked into connectivity to existing local and regional networks, as well as costs and, of course, public support. We used a little bit of a complicated analysis to add it all up, so we awarded some points for each of different projects based on each of these rubrics, and so that little graphic is what it tries to summarize all of this. Next slide. And we develop a prioritization list to help the city figure out what can be implemented first, what potentially could be implemented first, and what should be implemented first. And so we developed a list of high priority, medium priority, and opportunity projects, which are usually based on available funding and repaving. Those high priority projects could be those implemented first. Based on the needs of the community. It doesn't mean it has to be implemented first, so I just want to highlight that. At the same time, the prioritization methodology that we provided for the city is also very good for the city to look for funding. It will help the city look for funding, and it could or should be reevaluated every 5 years as mandated by many of the funding programs that we already look into, like the Caltrans SDP. Next slide. On the walking in high priority projects, and I'm sorry, I would love to talk about all the projects. I don't know them all, but you can see the high priority projects are highlighted here in orange. They're mostly focusing in downtown, improving some of the most difficult intersections connecting to and from the station, the Amtrak station, as well as providing additional connectivity over the rail. And of course, the trails that are already being implemented and continue to be and play such an important role in connecting the city to other regional destinations, south and east of the city. As far as intersection improvements, we have 20 intersection improvements that we highlighted here. Again, did not want to highlight all of them since we can go too much into it. And in terms of the sidewalks and trails, again, very much focusing on sidewalks. We requested 1.8 miles, almost 2 miles of additional sidewalks, and about a little bit under 8 miles of additional trails connecting to existing trails and facilities. I do want to highlight that a full list of scoring materials as well as the types of facilities that we're recommending are included in Appendix I of the report. So for sure, if you want to dig in deep into the numbers, you can certainly look in there. Next slide. As far as bicycle priorities, we highlighted 3 big intersection improvements. These are mostly focusing on a fully protected intersection, again, providing a little bit more separation between users, as well as highlighting 3 north-south corridors that many of you already take and are much of the hardest corridors here, like Roseville Parkway. So just wanted to highlight the fact that there are over 31 miles of linear facilities, including trails, and mostly separated facilities. As I mentioned, many of the existing bike lanes, for the most part, as we calculated the existing right-of-way or the existing space on the streets, we saw that there may be an opportunity for those bike lanes, existing bike lanes, to be upgraded to either more separated facilities with some vertical separation or some buffered facilities with a little bit more of a horizontal separation. Next slide. We provided generalized costs for each of the different facilities or types of improvements We would love to cost every single improvement. However, with the costs after the pandemic have gone crazy, so we wanted to provide opportunity for the city to continue to look for good funding. And so we made some assumptions and provided those assumptions as part of the development of the generalized costs. Again, those costs, we provided high and low costs if you want to dig in a little bit deep in Appendix I. Next slide. This one deals with bicycle facilities. Of course, the multi-use trails that need a little bit more remediation are the most expensive facilities, as well as sometimes the Class 4 separated facilities. These are, if you have to do them from 0 to 100, there may be opportunities for the city to implement these facilities by repaving, so reconsidering and reconfiguring the street as you repave, or right before you repave, I should say. So that's something to keep in mind as we talk about costs. Next slide. In terms of implementation strategy, we talked about utilizing the CIP to continue programming some of the improvements into the budget. There is also the opportunity for the city to implement quick build project, which are those that can be built within 6 months to a year, depending on the types of facilities and the types of materials. They tend to be a little bit cheaper to implement and also allow for the city to experiment with a few different materials. We've seen that in a few different places that we've worked. Of course, we want to do a little bit of a flexible project delivery, which includes working between and within different departments. One of the biggest challenges that many cities have is that departments don't talk to each other, and so you can have a utility vehicle going into and ripping out a full street. And I'm not pointing at anybody here, I'm just saying it happens. And just making it more coordinated, a coordinated effort so that improvements could be implemented at the same time in different facilities. And of course, the cross-departmental opportunities, not only within the city, but also with the county as it continues to implement its active transportation plan as well. Next slide. All right. On the maintenance side of things, we talked a little bit about the litter control. That was a big issue along the trails in particular, so we had a little bit of a section about that. Of course, the vegetation control in the summer months, sometimes it overgrows a little bit more than we would like it to, so we had a section on that. One of the biggest problems that we have in every jurisdiction that we've had and that we've worked with is lighting. That's always a big, important issue that we want to continue to address. And of course, repairs of the signs and maintenance of the facilities that we already have, as well as drainage and a bridge repair as well. Next slide. As far as the funding strategy, and this has changed a little bit since the beginning of the year, I should say. I do want to highlight that the city does not have a dedicated funding source for implementing all of the different projects and policies and programs. So to that end, the city tends to look for federal, state, and local and regional grants. They've been really successful at getting money for regional trails, which is going to be continuing to be a project and a program. The active transportation program that the state offers is also a very good source of funding for implementing projects, as well as some of the other Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning grants. That's more for the planning. And then on the federal side, we are seeing more and more budget. I think there is one more round this year of Safe Streets for All, SS4A grants that would be very good for implementation. So we highlight a few of these projects and how and which facilities are available for that or qualify for those projects. Next slide. All right. I think this is me. I'm going to have a little bit of a drink because I spoke very fast, but I welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you.
I think at this point, I'd like to open for public comment, and then we'll come back to the commission after that. So is there anyone from the public that would like to address the commission on this item? Marisa, could you thank you. You're going to have 5 minutes on this item. Please address the commission only, not a member, city staff, or the public. And if you ask questions, you may be referred to contact the Alternative Transportation Department outside of the meeting. The commission reserves the right to discuss the matter with or without city staff. Go ahead. Thank you.
A couple different things. So I took the bus to get here for the meeting. As I stated in my previous comment section, if I need to state my name, Jennifer Higgins, for comment. In regards to safe walking, I have a disability. I'm visually impaired, legally blind. I don't use a cane because I have 2200 in one eye and 2400 in the right eye. I have decreased peripheral vision. I appreciate when there are curb cuts at each section. I broke my ankle 20 years ago, not here. I grew up on the East Coast, broke it on snow and ice. So I have a problem with flexion extension. So I definitely appreciate a curb cut. I use Dial-A-Ride for that. That being said, sometimes, a lot of times, with a extended large intersection, 20 seconds, you can barely get across. I moved 3 weeks ago from just across from Mahaney Park, sorry, and I now live next to Walmart on Pleasant Grove in the gated development. And that intersection is a beast. I almost got run over crossing. People coming out of Walmart have no patience. If you can consider, because that is, I was just looking at the map, that is considered a medium priority intersection. If you can consider making these audible crosswalks, I could see with the vision that I have that there was a person, a teenager on a bicycle. I don't know if it was, I believe it was an e-bike coming across at me. He rode across. I know that you need to walk your bike across, but these kids do not. I have a special needs daughter who is 2, who is deaf, that I used to walk in my neighborhood where I used to live in a stroller. My husband is a school bus driver for the city who works for Roseville Joint Union. He has been out at night with our dogs in our former neighborhood, also in our current neighborhood. But in our former neighborhood, he's almost gotten hit by kids on these e-bikes. He told me the other day when he was driving the bus that he saw on his speedometer a kid on an e-bike riding parallel to him at 40 miles an hour with no helmet. If I had been on the sidewalk, I might have gotten hit because I have decreased peripheral vision. I bump into somebody who's standing next to me on flat ground. If you're here and you're in my blind spot, as it were, I don't see you. If I have a kid on an e-bike that comes up at 40 miles an hour, I'm going to get hit. If I walk my King Charles Cavalier and somebody comes up on an e-bike, I'm going to get hit and I'm going to get killed. These are things you really need to consider because these sidewalks are not safe for people like me, and I can't use a cane and a stroller at the same time. So I really hope that you consider making a lot of these extra large intersections audible when you do your improvements, because I don't walk my dogs at night. I asked my husband to do it. I want to walk. I'll say it in public. I have weight to lose, but I don't go out at night because I don't want to get hit. I go out in broad daylight and I almost get hit. I came here from the East Coast to get away from the snow and ice, and I can't exercise because I'm getting hit by kids on e-bikes. It's not safe.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comment, bring it back to the commission. So, commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for staff? We'll start maybe down here with Commissioner Stromberg.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed on the maps that there is a downtown focus, and I think that makes complete sense. Our newer neighborhoods, they were designed with a lot of safety improvements and things in mind, but our older neighborhoods, not so much. But I do think that on that high priority list, there needs to be a focus on sidewalks, especially, down here. You can walk some of these streets just around here, and you'll see stamped on those sidewalks, WPA, Works Progress Administration. That means those sidewalks were built in the 1930s in the FDR era, and they're not level. There's trees ripping them up. It's a liability for the city, but it's also a safety issue for the public. And I think that needs to be a little higher on the priorities when you're taking these things into consideration. The other thing is, and the lady who just spoke sort of mentioned it, is lights play a big role, and people want to be able to walk at night. If you just go a few blocks down here, go to 4th Street, and you walk down there at night, there are no lights. It's a whole neighborhood. It's pitch black. So if we're going to have people who want to actually walk at night and go places, especially in the winter when night comes really early, we got to work on some other things in here. And I looked through this, and I didn't see anything in there. I saw lighting, but I didn't see anything about street lights. We need more street lights, and that's something to consider. And then the last thing I want to ask, and this one's actually a question more than a comment, is were motorcycle collisions considered? And I know you had on there that you had bike collisions and things like that, but I've seen a lot of motorcycle collisions, and I'm thinking if people can't see motorcycles, they're definitely not going to see bikes. And so I think those areas where you have motorcycle collisions also need to be considered when you're making that tally and you're coming up with your priorities. And that's all I had.
Mauricio, is there anything?
Just wanted to address the motorcycle collisions. For this particular project, we only looked at collisions involving people walking and people biking, not specifically motorcycle collisions. That's a little bit of a wider range, so we did not look for those. But yeah, that's a good point.
Commissioner Roberts, questions or comments?
No questions, I don't think, but just a general comment. Thank you for your presentation. And thank you for putting together all this information, and thank you to the staff for putting together this information. It seems pretty pointed, and the recommendations seem very useful for the city to use moving forward to create the transportation plan and network that everybody wants. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Groff.
Yeah, just a couple comments. Again, Suzanne, thank you so much for all the working leadership in the city. So we appreciate that. Good presentation. A couple things that I just want to kind of point out when we're talking about collisions involving vehicles and pedestrians and bicyclists. There's a lot of data out there that will support the collision statistics here in this city as well as throughout the state that it is a high rate that it's actually the pedestrians and the bicyclists that are more at fault for the collisions that they're involved in rather than the motorists. So I just want to kind of clear up a perception or a misconception that if a child is struck by a bicycle or struck by a vehicle while they're on their bicycle, it's automatically the motorist's fault. And that's simply just not true. The OTS, some OTS numbers, 80% of all the pedestrian fatalities happen at night, and almost 70% of all the pedestrian fatalities are the pedestrians' fault themselves. Those are OTS numbers. So just want to bring some of that to attention. There, quite often when someone is struck and hurt, it's a very emotional thing. It gets high visibility, but the instant too often, the instant idea is that the motorist is at fault. So I think some kind of a shift needs to take place in the public perception that one of the big reasons why this is all being done is for the motorists or for the bicyclists and the pedestrian safety to maybe give them the idea that they need to care for themselves. They have the duty of care for themselves. So I appreciate the city's leadership in taking this on with so many signs and signals and markings to help the pedestrians and the bicyclists get through these intersections safely. And it's for their own safety. It is a lot easier to stop on a bicycle and turn on a bicycle than it is in a 6,000-pound car or a pickup. Most pickups are in a higher rate of pickups being involved in pedestrian fatalities. So, but anyway, just wanted to throw that out there, make sure people have an understanding that it's not always the motorist's fault. And quite often it's a significant number that it's the pedestrian and the bicyclist's fault that is at fault for the collisions. So again, thank you so much, Suzanne, for your work on this. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Commissioner McGeorge.
Thank you guys very much for working on this. It's a lot of stuff to take in, and thank you for your presentation. Just to kind of piggyback on Mr. Stromberg's comments, I live in the Los Cerritos area, and we are in one of those neighborhoods that you walk down one side of the street on the sidewalk, and then you jump the street to go to the other side of the street on the sidewalk because those houses were built 4 or 5 at a time, and anywhere from the early 1900s to the 40s, 50s. And I have seen actually people out there this week grinding sidewalks and making them, leveling them off a little bit. So it was very much needed in our area because some of those sidewalks have very big lips and they are dangerous at times. So we do appreciate that. I am interested to see furthermore how like those improvements go because some people's yards and stuff that they have built over the years go right up to the curb. So hopefully everything works out in the long run. And I see some stuff on Lawton too, and I would love to see Lawton, which is right behind my house, get some improvements, especially bike lane wise, because people fly down that street, and I don't want to see anybody get hit. I do love the idea of where there was a mention of bike patrol. I think that would be awesome. I think that, you know, just police visibility, especially on bicycles, on bike routes, shows a sense of safety for people out there. And I think that would bring a lot more people to said trails and, like when you're off the beaten path a little bit to see police officers out there. I feel like that's a good thing. That's all I got. Thank you guys very much. Looking forward to hopefully see how this moves forward.
Thank you very much, Commissioner McGeorge. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you, Suzanne, Ed, rest of the staff for working on this. I know this is a huge amount of work. I'm sure you got many comments, and I appreciate all the answers that you've been able to give the public. I think there's been a lot of public input on this. The interactive maps we had earlier in the year and last year were fantastic, as well as being able to comment online on the PDF and hopefully have those comments addressed. I thought staff did a great job at soliciting public feedback, so I'm really, really impressed with how this went. I guess I have a couple thoughts, and you know, there's an analogy that goes something like, you don't know how many people want to cross a river if you don't have a bridge and everyone's swimming. So you kind of need to build a bridge to figure out how many people want to cross a river. And when we're talking about creating a network of low stress facilities that often offer convenient access throughout the city, I think that's really where we're seeing some of that. You know, build it and they will come is somewhat true. We talked about improving neighborhood routes, expanding the trail network, providing additional separation along major roadways. I think that if you could even get a fraction of this high priority list done, you know, you start to really fundamentally change the mechanics of how you can get around the city. Seeing class 4 separated bike lanes, that's ideally a bike lane with concrete or some sort of hard infrastructure separating you, not necessarily, but separating you from fast moving 45 plus mile-an-hour traffic on our arterials. You know, you really start to unlock possibilities for getting around the city outside of a car. I think you called me out earlier for being one of the 10% who would bike most places, and that's true, but, you know, as my kids are getting older and I'm thinking about taking my son to elementary school, and it's hard. It's hard to think about, okay, well, how am I going to get across the tracks and safely get him there and not have to worry too much about it. So I think some of the improvements that the city is proposing and recommending, that how they're considered over the next few years are really intelligent. I have a couple. I'll slim it down to two questions. One of them is, I didn't see any particularly high priority trail projects that were like connectors for improving gaps. I think a lot of those were listed as medium, but it's kind of one of the higher priorities of the approach. And so I was wondering if maybe there's reasons. Is that cost? Is it just not feasible at this point in time? We have listed a lot of the Mahaney Park and then the Dry Creek Greenway East and West, but those, I think we know that those have already been kind of in the works for a while. So maybe if you have any comments on that. And then lastly, how are there any other documents that would get updated coming out of this, right? From a mechanic standpoint, we have a lot of specific plans. We have a general plan. This is probably called for under the general plan. We have design and construction standards. How do these documents will they get updated? At what frequency? And is that something that would come to this commission or would go through the city council? And just a couple mechanic questions there. But thank you very much.
So I'll try to tackle number one. I would have to dig in a little bit more on the data. I think a number of connections to trails were ranked a little bit lower because of the cost of implementation. We try to work on the feasibility of things, and some things are more feasible than others, some are faster than others, so those may have gone a little bit lower on that side of things. To Mr. Stromberg's kind of related, we try to increase the scores for those locations where we saw a lot more pedestrian activity and need, particularly in downtown. So that's kind of related to Mr. Pell's recommendation. As far as this project is concerned, we also did develop or upgraded the bike design guidelines that you all had. So that's part of a companion projects. And I do believe, I wonder if maybe Mr. Shawski, and there you go. Which appendix E?
E, yes.
So we did upgrade those, and then on the side of the plans, what's next? I will leave that to the city to respond to. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I can take the question, or Jason can help with the question, but the new designs that are listed in the bicycle facility design standards will be updated. So we will have to work with engineering, and we'll have to work with other people to get the designs and then move it on to get it into our city design standard, construction standards. So there were a lot of different design standards in here, so it's going to take a little bit of time. So Jason has promised me an intern in the engineering. That maybe could help with that this summer.
Yeah, and then as far as other design documents, we update the general plan periodically. I think, are we working on right now? I can't remember. I think one's coming up soon. But some of these things, like the bicycle network or pedestrian network, will work its way into the general plan. Last general plan update we did, the city for a long time didn't require that sidewalks be constructed on both sides of the street when we built a new roadway. And I was able to get that in there. So, we're making some headway, and we'll do that again with taking these standards as justification to work with the planners to get our general plan updated to match what our plans are for bicycle and pedestrian facilities.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate all the hard work that went into this. Any final questions, comments?
Just one final comment is I totally see the need for everything in your thing, and I appreciate it. I think really what we're being asked to vote on here is are we wanting to spend money to save lives? Because everything here is an improvement to save a life in one way or another, whether that is the life of the pedestrian crossing the street or just people's general health. If it allows people to get out and exercise more and do those types of things, people will live longer. So all that I will keep in mind in my vote.
Anything else? All right, at this point, can I get a motion and a second to accept the active transportation plan and recommend to City Council to approve this item?
Motion.
Second.
Commissioner Roberts has made the motion, and Commissioner Groff has seconded the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is approved. Congratulations. The next item is item number 6.2, Bike Month events. This is an informational item only, and no action is required from the commission. Staff, may we have your presentation, please?
Yes, you may. So good evening, Commissioners. I'm Suzanne Engelkey, Associate Transportation Planner, and I'm here to update you on bike activities happening in the Alternative Transportation Division. Alternative Transportation staff installed a traffic garden during spring break this past April on the blacktop at Coyote Ridge Elementary School. What's a traffic garden? Well, it's a safe, marked course for families to teach their children bike safety as children ride bikes, scooters, and even roller skate through the course marked with traffic signs and arrows. In this instance, we used chalk, and luckily we didn't have any rain during the school break to wash it away. We have done similar traffic gardens during the summer at the city's Adventure Club at school sites. And new riders tell us it's a fun way to learn how to go through a roundabout, what it means to yield, and it's just fun to get on your bike. It is our hope to someday find a permanent place where we can have a traffic garden for families to enjoy year-round. So Bike Fest was Saturday, April 26th in the Roseville Downtown Square. Participants were able to visit bike safety stations to complete the activities in their program. After they'd been fitted with a helmet, attended the safety show, and had their bike inspected, they could ride the obstacle course, which has to be the kids' favorite thing to do. There was a fun zone, a DJ, and a swag bag with more safety materials and goodies. The safety show this year focused a lot on e-bike safety. Donations and sponsorships from 20 companies helped to fund this event. We had 142 participants attend this event, even in the drizzling rain, and 2 lucky people won bikes donated by Mike's Bikes, and the Alternative Transportation Department had a basket filled with goodies. Roseville Bike Fest event was a success to the efforts of fantastic volunteers. These volunteers included Key Club high school students, residents, community members, the American River Bike Patrol, Placer County Sheriff's Department, and city employees, including the Roseville Police Department. Their support, friendly smiles, and willingness to assist wherever they could created a fun experience for all the participants. Alternative Transportation staff, Tricia Litz and Rebecca Espenshade, served as chairs of the event. Substantial progress has been made on Phase 1 of the Drag Creek Greenway East Trail. All 3 golden bridges are in place now, with the last bridge, shown on the right there, being set into place at the end of March. Retaining walls are currently being built, and the contractors have begun work on the restroom facilities at the Trailhead parking lot off of Riverside. Nearly 50 guests attended an open house in April to give feedback into the design of Phases 2 and 3 of the Drag Creek Greenway East Trail. Attendees voiced their support for the proposed trails and their excitement for Phase 1 to be completed and Phase 2 to start. They were able to vote on a proposed route for Phase 3, which was kind of fun, making it an interactive experience. The city received requests for benches, bike racks, and safe crossings. It is May, and that means it is Bike Month. Whether you ride every day or need a little extra incentive to get on the bike, this is the month for you. Visit mayisbikemonth.com for a list of cycling activities in our region. Alternative transportation staff have been on the trails at Energizer stations, encouraging residents to join in the fun. You can sign up to log your miles, you can earn virtual badges, and have a chance to win amazing prizes while reducing greenhouse gases. Students at 5 elementary schools got in on the action by participating in Bike to School Day on May 7th, and they were rewarded with goodies. Speaking of goodies, I have bike socks for everyone here to get everybody to entice them to get on a bike this month. You can see me after the meeting to pick up a pair. Once again, Alternative Transportation is coordinating with Parks, Recreation, and Libraries for a bike-focused story time. This special May is Bike Month event will be May 21st, tomorrow morning, at the Martha Riley Library during its 2 normally scheduled storybook times. There will be stories and songs with a bicycle theme. Kids are encouraged to bring their bikes and helmets to the library. After the story time, children will be split into groups to go to different stations. Toddlers will learn bicycle safety by riding their bike through a small obstacle course. They'll learn about the parts of the bicycle and how to care for their bike by going through a bike wash, similar to a car wash, but just for bikes. And there will be a watercolor activity featuring helmet safety. Last year, we had over 300 participants, and we are told to expect more even this year. No registration is needed to attend this Storytime event, so if you know someone who might be interested, give them a call tonight and let them know it's early tomorrow. Our staff have also held story time geared towards bike safety at 2 elementary schools this week. And Trailibration returns Memorial Day and runs through September 20th. During Trailibration, families are encouraged to get outdoors and explore our trails and earn fun prizes along the way. To start, you pick up a passport at one of the libraries or download one from the city website on May 26th. New this year, we add something new every year. So new this year, you can get the most out of Trailibration by registering online and taking a short survey and to win prizes throughout the summer, like t-shirts and hats. So simply visit the 10 different city trails that have been selected for this summer's Seeking Adventure, find the Trailibration signs on the trail, and enter the special logo emblem into your passport. And then bring that passport, completed or not, to the Fall Family Fest on September 20th to pick out a prize. You can visit the city's website for information. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Commissioners, any questions or comments for staff, starting with Commissioner McGeorge?
No questions. Just want to comment that I love that Bike Fest is in its 32nd year. I wish I had it when I was a kid, but I was a little too old. It's okay, though. It's good for all the kids now. Yeah, just keep doing all the great things you're doing. Thank you.
You can always be a volunteer.
I know.
Yeah, Commissioner Gruff?
It's fantastic to see how successful this is, all these things are really getting. So congratulations to you, Suzanne. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Roberts?
I just wanted to say thank you to the staff for putting on cool events like this. I think part of the really fun and fortunate part of living in the city of Roseville is that there's always cool community events that are across all different types of departments and themes and things. And the ones you guys do for active transportation are definitely in that category where it just is really cool to like have these different events that create a sense of community that anybody can come to whenever they have time. So thank you.
Commissioner Stromberg?
Yeah, I just want to say these are really cool events, and my toddler and wife love going to them, and I think it's great. And I think these events that the city hosts are one of the reasons that Roseville is a great place to live, and I think we're doing a very good job with that. The other thing is the hat prize. That was a cool looking hat. Just wanted to say. Thanks so much for the presentation.
All right, thank you, Suzanne. Really appreciate that. I guess just echoing fellow commissioners, these are great events. Bike Fest was great. It was a little drizzly to me. That's actually the perfect cycling weather. every year that I've been, it's got better and better, and I think you guys just do a fantastic job putting these sorts of events on. I think that traffic garden looks really cool, and think about how you could we could implement that somewhere in the city on a permanent basis. I've seen those elsewhere, and just for kids learning how to ride a bike safely, smart, really great idea. So just congratulations to everything you've done. Thank you very much. Before we adjourn, does anyone, board or staff, have any transportation-related announcements?
Nope.
None here. Oh,
I've got one more.
yeah, sure.
I just want to say it is Public Works Week currently right now. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who do all the hard work for everything, and all of your staff and everyone that's not here, everyone watching. We appreciate you, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing nothing else on the agenda, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. And can I get a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Stromberg has made the motion, and Commissioner McGeorge has seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.